Tell us about yourself.
Good evening. I'm Jill Inman, and I'm excited to have the opportunity to serve our community on the Surry County Board of Education. I love our kids and I love our community, and I am proud to raise my family here. Since I became a mom 13 years ago, I've served in a variety of ways in my kids' schools. I've been the PTO secretary, PTO president right now, Boosters Club secretary, run chicken stews and sold athletic wear at the high school, whatever they needed. And I love it. I've had the opportunity to sit on school improvement teams with the teachers and the staff, and parent advisory councils with our administrative team. Last year, I was invited to serve on the strategic plan committee to engage employees. I learned a lot. I love all of these experiences, and I want to be able to continue to keep doing that. I think those experiences have given me a perspective that would really benefit the Board of Education. I've built relationships and learned things and see things from a new perspective. And I think that that could be very helpful. It would help us build trust and transparency and give parents a voice. This is a wonderful opportunity, and I appreciate the chance to come and talk with you guys tonight. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jade Kiger. I'm a native of Dobson. I was born and raised here, attended Surry Central High School, graduated, and I'm actually right now a nurse practitioner in cardiology here in Elkin. I've been a nurse for 18 years. I've spent a life of service and have a strong sense of care for the wellness of those in my community. In sense of the school board, I have 3 kids, 14, 12, and 4, so they'll be attending all levels of school in the coming year. I have served throughout the community and with the students and athletes for the last 10 years, anywhere from the boosters, which I've been a part of at the Central Middle School for the last 4 years. I've also served in the Little League. You'll see me at the ball games, almost all of them, in the concession stands, raising money, and even helping initially set up the Golden Eagle Foundation with my husband. We've always tried to work alongside the coaches, the staff, and the parents and teachers to try to do what's best for our students and have growth, which I think, even talking to the commissioners, that's what we're trying to do here in the county is growth and improvement of our schools, our students, and their futures overall. In the sense of wellness, I think I have a lot to bring from my healthcare background. Mental health is huge in our schools, as well as the drug abuse issues, and hopefully my background there can assist in helping policies and procedures moving forward for the students and staff there.
Tell me your name again.
Jade Kiger.
Jade?
Jade.
Jade
Yep.
Hiker?
Kiger, Kiger.
Thank you very much.
My name is Charles McBride. Been a resident of Surry County my whole life. In my professional life, I'm a quality control manager and a continuous improvement engineer. I've been in this industry for my whole career. I have a wife of 30 years, a daughter is 12 years old, goes to Gentry. She plays in sports, and the main thing that one of the reasons why I'm running is for her and the kids that that I'm around because of her, and I want to make a difference in the community. I want to put my values, my church values, my Christian values back into school. I want my daughter to, when she does finish this school through this county, that she has a good moral background to go into her next life, outside of Surry County. I work at, I go to Flat Rock Pentecostal Holiness Church. I'm a superintendent there, church board member there. I'm very active in my church. We do a lot of stuff with our kids in the church. I just, I just hope that things go smoothly for me.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Jessica George, and I grew up here. I grew up in Westfield. I went to East Surry. My husband went to East Surry. My parents went to East Surry. His parents went to East Surry. And my grandpa graduated from Westfield. So we've been here for generations. I love it here. But I was one of those kids they talked about earlier that got a degree and left, but we came back. And we came back 5 or 6 years ago now, and wanted to invest here and be here and put our money here and start a business here. And so we did. We started a business. We run it in pilot. It's pilot surveying and engineering. And that's going really well. And we're really grateful. We have 3 children, and their ages 10, 8, and 5. We are active in our church. My husband is a Cub Scout master in Pilot, so if you have little kids, please bring them. We would love to have them. And I am on the children's ministry team at church. I help lead an adult Sunday school class. And I also have, I helped with our Christmas pageant. That was a handful. We had 40 kids and 30 of them were 5 and under. And it was a lot, but we try to stay really active in our community, just like everyone else. I don't think that you would even put yourself out here to serve further if you weren't like that. And we just want to make Surry County better. I want to make Surry County better, and there's always room for improvement, but there's good things that we have here, and they need to be shared. And 2 minutes to talk about yourself, I don't know. I went to Appalachian State University. I graduated from there with finance and banking, a double major in risk management and insurance. I currently stay home with my kids and help with our business. And that's about it. Time. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Okay, I can't keep this name tag on, so I'm just going to discard it. Ken Whitaker, running for my 2nd term in District 3, Surry County School Board. It's been one of the pleasures and honors of my life to be a part of the school system. I appreciate those that work in the school system from the top down, and it's been special. As I was looking through the audience here, I do have 2 former baseball players who played for me on the Little League team, TJ Bledsoe and Anthony Kiger. And so it makes me feel old being up here. But I ran last year just as I felt like it's almost seemed like a nudge to put my name in the hat and run for this position. I'm doing that looking for my 2nd term this year. I've served as chairman on our safety committee. And just to give you a brief overview of things that's happened in our school system on enhancing security and safety in our school system. We've added vestibules, we've put SROs in all of our schools since I came on, since I've been a member of the board. Also, we've added notification alert systems to all our schools, many different enhancements that we've made to protect kids, faculty in our schools. I was just looking at the number of times that I've attended meetings or made school visits outside of board meetings and official meetings that are announced. And I've probably attended about 60 meetings a year. But I do have 4 grandchildren in the school system, and I want to do what's right each time I make a decision. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. My name is Tony Hutchens. I'm the current 2nd District representative on the Surry County School Board. It has been my honor. Everything about it has been good, except for maybe some of the argument. I'm gonna tell you, I woke up last night about 2 o'clock thinking to myself, what kind of questions are they gonna ask tonight? And then I just decided that I was gonna just stop and just say what was on my heart tonight. The proudest moment that I've had in the last 3 years was the night that everybody stepped back and let me make the suggestion that we put the Bible back into the school as a classroom, as a class. So I got to cast that vote first. I made that nomination. And if something changes in March, I'll go home with my head held really high, knowing that got done. I gave my heart to God in 1972, and it stuck. It stuck. And then I was called to preach in 1994, and some people want to hear it, and some people don't want to hear it, and that's okay. But I will tell you that I stood on this stage 4 years ago, and what I knew was absolutely nothing, and now I stand here 4 years later, and I know a little bit, just a little bit. But I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna promise you I'll do exactly the same thing that I did the last time. Before I make a decision, I'm going to pray. I'm going to read the Bible. I'm going to find out what's right and what's wrong before I make that decision. And then I'm going to make that decision unapologetically and just go for it. Some of the decisions that we've made has not been popular even here in the county. As a matter of fact, that it has been said that everybody has a voice. But the truth is, everybody has a voice as long as you say what they want you to say. What you need is somebody that will say it unapologetically.
Okay, we're going to start with Jade. First question, I already told you the question, why are you running for the school board? And the time changes, as soon as he's ready, the time changes to 1 minute. And the 1 minute will go fast, so just be right. Okay. Anytime.
I think I answered a little bit of that when I made my introduction. Living here in Surry County and being a part of these kids' lives, like I mentioned, since my son, we moved back here when my son was 6 months old. And we were involved well before he was able to play t-ball. We actually started him a little earlier in another district playing sports. And we were able to get in touch with some of these parents and see what needs that we had here locally. We got involved and tried to grow our programs here in Dobson with numbers and being involved with the kids. We have so much to offer here. We're blessed to live in a conservative area where we're free to have our freedom of speech, our freedom of speech, our faith, and then live as families, which I think is something that could bring growth here in this county. But I want to continue to do what's right for these children and to use those values that have been instilled with me. Thank you.
Mr. McBride?
The reason I'm running is I want it to be academically accountable, transparency. I want the parents to have, I don't want them to find out things secondhand or after the fact. I want them to be able to know what's going on prior to being told that, hey, this is going to be happening, or this is already happening. I want to be as much transparent as I can, and I want to be forthcoming and available for parents and students and teachers as well to come to me and say, you know, I'm having this issue, can you help me? So that I can take that back to the board and say, you know, this needs to be addressed for everybody.
Thank you.
So I'm running for Surry County School Board because I think that our public schools, to me, their purpose is to ensure that even those that cannot afford an education get an education. And our public schools currently are under threat, and that's because the market is changing. The opportunity scholarships have come in. Did you know that in the last 10 years, enrollment in private schools in Surry County has increased 150%? That doesn't include people driving their kids down 52 to Forsyth County and Stokes County, where we do have two large private schools that have opened up. Did you know that homeschooling has increased 57% in those 10 years here? That we have co-ops with hundreds of kids that are starting to happen. I'm not saying those are bad things because I'm for school choice, but I do think our schools need to recognize what's happening, ensure that they message that they're the best choice, and get those kids in our schools so that funding continues because it's based on kid count.
This way, sorry. I keep
You're good. I kept meaning to pick it up and
Tony mentioned standing on this stage and saying that, in committing that he would try to get the Bible as a course in our school. And I was standing on this stage with Tony, and Earl Stevens asked the question. He said, will you try to get scripture or the Bible into the school system? And he said, would you also try to get the Constitution presented in the school system? We accomplished both of those. He worked on the Bible, and I worked on the Constitution. And 2 years ago, we had the same speaker that spoke here, Dr. Kristen McMasters, came and shared all our sophomore students and all four of our high schools, being the early college, on doing about the Constitution. Did a great job. And to me, that just showed that, we can affect things as one individual on the school board. And that's why I want to try to help our school system in that way.
August of this year, my grandson Cody began his school career, I guess you would call it, at Cedar Ridge. The question is, why am I running for school board again? Because we're not done. That's why. We're just not done with the work. There's a lot of work that still needs to be done. I want you to think about this. Look at the rise of AI over the past year, 2 years. 10 years from now, I don't know how many school teachers there are sitting here. 10 years from now, there may not be a single school teacher in a classroom. It may be AI teaching our children. Do you want that? That's something you've got to ask yourself. You've got to question yourself. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I really believe that at some point or another, we're going to have to tell the state to go pound and sand. And we're going to have to take care of our children. As much as you don't want to see somebody in another county get messed up, we definitely don't want to see it here. There were some questions asked a little bit earlier about how to improve things in Surry County. We start with our children. And we tell them that there is light at the end of the tunnel.
I'm running for the school board because our kids have one shot. They have one shot at their primary education. As adults, we forget that. We can change our major and change our college and change our careers whenever we want. But our kids have one shot at primary education. And they need advocates sitting at the table, ensuring that they have a solid academic foundation, that they have the skills that they need to be successful in this world, and that they know that we are cheering for them. Our staff need to feel supported. They need to know that we respect them and appreciate them and acknowledge that they have the hardest job in the world next to being mom. And they need to hear that in our words, and they need to hear it in our actions, and they need to see it in our votes. And that's why I'm running to be on the school board.
Okay. Question 2, we'll start with Mr. McBride. This is a little long. Social and emotional learning, critical race theory, and diversity, equity, inclusion all trace their roots to critical theory, which in turn is a cornerstone of Marxism. If we believe what Karl Marx wrote about himself, critical theory is rooted at best in atheism and at worst in Satanism. What parts of Marxism should be allowed in public schools?
I think that any curriculum that is allowed in schools should go through the parents and through, or should go through the parents to decide whether their student or their kids should have to go or be in those classes. If they want to opt out, they should be able to opt out and go to another class or not even take that class at all. I don't think there's any place for that in the school.
Well, some of y'all know I ran before, and you know that I'm not a fan of this. So I ran 4 years ago on a curriculum that was coming into the schools that was a social and emotional learning curriculum that told kids that why are kids bullied because of race, sex, and gender, and that was the 8th grade. Now, ultimately, our school system decided not to put that curriculum in, which I applaud them for. But most of all of that kind of, for me, boils down to, is truth relative or not? And if it is, then your past can justify your actions. I come from a Christian worldview. It's not. It's either right, the action itself is either right or wrong. And a lot of that is what stems into those theories. You know, is your identity, like, do you fit into a created world, or are you creating your world? And those things all fill into that. I don't think we should put it in our schools.
Okay, I'm trying to think how I can answer this in 1 minute. We had, when the new administration came in, Trump administration came in, all school systems had to certify that there was no DEI, and I think that was part of your question, in your school system. And as a board member and all of us, we were able to just sit there and immediately certify that that's not taking place in our school systems. Secondly, some school systems had grants withdrawn because part of that, written into that grant was DEI programs. And we had no grants that were touched, no grants that were affected by that where other school systems in our areas did. So that's what I'll say. Now, I have other things I could say, but that'll be it.
Into that question, I believe, asked how much Marxism should we allow?
What parts of Marxism should be allowed in public schools?
That much. None of it. This is a constitutional republic founded on a creator. He's the one that put this together. Social emotional, get out of their head. Teach them reading, writing, and arithmetic. That's what you need to do. Get back to the basics. And I realize that children are dealing with some pretty serious things compared to what I dealt with when I was in school. But I'm telling you, if we don't get away from that and get back to teaching them something other than just how to, it's got to be more than how to think. You got to know what to think. So social emotional learning needs to go. All of that needs to be out. CRT needs to be out. None of that stuff. We've allowed the government too long to tell us what we need to do or need to put into our school system. We need to say no.
Agree. I said we have one shot with our kids. We've got to teach them the basics, the foundations, the truth, the reading, writing, and arithmetic. That's where we need to focus. We don't need to distract them with ideas and theories, and we need to teach them how to think. So, and give them a foundation so that when they're faced with these ideas, they have a response. They know that it's not true because their foundation is firm. We don't need to waste their time on extra. We have very limited time with them and a whole lot to teach them that's really important. We don't need to fill it in with the extra stuff.
I agree with every candidate here. There is no room for Marxism. There is no room for critical race theory. We are supporting children in learning about subjects in math, science, English, and how to prepare themselves for the world, including vocationals. But there is no place for any of those within our school system, social and emotional learning.
Okay. Can I go to Ms. George next? Okay, question number 3. Will you make, hopefully this will be yes or no. Will you make a pledge to 100% oppose all Marxist ideology in public schools?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Absolutely. I was trying not to say what was really going through my mind.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, the next question is going to go to Mr. Whitaker. As AI changes the job market, how do we reinvigorate vocational education in our public schools and make it viable for students without their own transportation to Surry Community College?
Well, concerning AI, you know, it's sort of like when I was at Wingate College and the professor pulled out a calculator and he was able to come up with a number quickly, and it just amazed me. That was in 1972. And I sort of feel like AI is similar to that. It's a tool that can be used, and it can be used in a bad way. It can be used in a meaningful and good way. And we did have a AI class in our early college where they're utilizing AI in a correct way. And that's something we haven't written a policy on yet. Some policies have been written in school systems where they're very general and genetic, so to speak. But that's something that we're taking a look at. And as long as it's used appropriately, I think it's an advantage to our students.
Yes. So the question again, as AI changes the job market, how do we reinvigorate vocational education in our public schools and make it viable for students without their own transportation to Surry Community College?
For many years, the trades were looked down on. They wanted every child in a corner somewhere or another with a computer, and we made a huge mistake here in the United States when we took people away from doing with their hands. That's why I'm proud of the agriculture and the CTE program that we have here in Surry County. AI is coming, and we either adapt to it and set a standard. Remember this, AI is a tool, nothing more than a tool. It is not a ruler. So we're going to have to get control right off the bat. None of this waiting around to see what happens and then maybe we'll fix it. You've got to fix it now. And then do not let yourself come under that kind of control. Our children need access. That's what they need. They need access. Access to programs, access to learning, access to things to do with their hands. Because we took it out of their hands and then we took it out of their heart.
Again, I agree with the others. AI is a tool, and it can be very, very beneficial. We're all starting to learn how to use it, and we need to learn how to use it responsibly. We need our children to know how to use it responsibly. Some of the kids in our schools right now may be leaders in AI in the country in 10 years, and we want to be able to introduce them to it in a right way. I think that we are very fortunate for the children that don't have transportation and can't get to Surry Community College. My two oldest daughters have benefited from the college program, and some of the classes are being offered at their high school. You can get enough kids interested, they will teach it at your school, and they don't have to drive from East Surry to Dobson. That's been a great gas relief in my house, but it can also benefit kids maybe with lower income that would benefit from these roles. So we need to keep looking at opportunities to bring the college classes closer to the students and to focus them on the things that the kids are interested in. Poll them. Who's interested? Where can we bring this course and this material and get it to them in an easy way?
So I'm a little skeptical of technology way back. I'm kind of an old soul. I just recently started using AI in my own job. I'm very detail oriented, OCD, I like all the things, but AI has been very beneficial within my job roles, and I think I'm adapting to this as we will as a community. I think there is a use for AI. I think it would be great for the kids to have classes in regards to how to use this and utilize this moving forward. Again, like they were saying, it has to be used and monitored closely, censored, and ensure that it is unbiased, as I know some of the government has been concerned about how AI can have some bias and affect how people perceive things, and the information they're getting is accurate and something that they can utilize readily, which will indeed, as you said in the second part of the question, for people that don't have transportation, that they will be able to access these type of courses and utilize them moving forward as a vocation. Thank you.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. As AI changes the job market, how do we reinvigorate vocational education in our public schools and make it viable for students without their own transportation to Surry Community College?
So, for the vocational classes that, from transportation to get there, I think on that part, you need to have some type of, accounting or has to have some type of transportation for those that do not have, for those students that don't have transportation. The other part on the AI, I think it is a great tool. I use it quite often in my profession, but it can lead to false answers and things if you let it. But I think that the kids should know what works for them and what doesn't. But the vocational part of it and the transportation, I think that needs to come from the county, helping them try to get some type of transportation to get them to that location.
Time's up. Thank you.
AI. So I think AI is the perfect example that the schools are not good at predicting the job market. 4 years ago when I ran, we were talking a lot about coding, and those jobs are gone because AI has come in. And so for younger grades, I don't think that we should really focus a lot on it. We really just need to focus on skills and make sure that they have their foundation. There's lots of studies done that it atrophies parts of your brain when you're using it when you're young. It's not that great. As far as for our older kids, we've got to teach them to use it. I mean, if you go back in history, even Socrates says books were gonna make people lazy, but we wouldn't even know that if Plato hadn't wrote it down. So technology is always gonna come, and we're always gonna have to make sure that it's a tool and not a tyrant. And so as long as we can do that, it's fine. As far as the transportation, that's where we need you guys. We need to work with the community and make sure that we can get kids where they need to go so that they can get the education they need in vocations.
Okay, the next question is going to go to Tony Hutchens. Knowing what we know now during the last pandemic, as a Republican primary candidate, will you ignore the concept of natural immunity or support mask mandates, PCR testing, school closures, mandatory vaccinations, or any other measure put in place during the last pandemic?
I will stand against anything that somebody else is telling me I have to do. Government isn't my ruler, and I will stand against it. I don't like being controlled by other people. I have a God-given right to make my own decision. Now, I will say this, if you want to wear a mask, wear it. But by all means, don't come and tell me that I have to wear one to satisfy you. That's just my nature. I'm not the kind of person that just does what they're told. This is not a collective. The United States is not a collective. This is a country of 350 million individuals that have a right to have their own opinion. What they don't like, or what most people don't like, is your opinion to be different from their opinion. Mine just happens to be a whole lot different. And yes, I'll continue to stand against it. I don't care. I get there are nurses on the stage, and I do not want to say anything to hurt your feelings, but I cannot.
Totally fair. And my answer is going to be, it depends. It depends on what the science says. It depends on what the research says. It depends on what our medical leaders are saying. I went and spoke in front of the school board during the mask mandates, and I asked to keep the kids in masks. I had a kindergartner with asthma. I worked in the hospital. I met with Dr. Ohl every week on the Incident Command Committee as we were trying to figure out how to take care of our patients at Baptist Hospital. And that was what the research was saying. That's what our experts were supporting. And I'm not going to pretend that I know everything. I'm going to ask the experts, and I'm going to trust them. And at the time, we were all doing it. Donald Trump promoted vaccines and masks because we didn't know. We were in uncharted waters. And at the time, it was the right decision. Is it the right decision right now? Maybe not. We all handled the flu. Again, if you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you don't want to, that's fine. But if another pandemic comes, we don't know what it's about, and we need time to learn.
This certainly puts me in a hot spot. I certainly don't work in public health or infectious disease, but I do believe in natural immunity. I do believe that most healthy children can withstand the virus. I think that mask mandates, vaccination mandates, school closures were detrimental to our communities, to our schools, to our children. If you have a children currently in school and they went through the pandemic, they are well behind. Thank God for No Child Left Behind, because they're gonna pass eventually. But I think if this were to happen again, we are going to have some heavy decisions on what we do. I think if you wanna wear a mask, that would be great. If you wanna work remotely, then that is your choice, but I don't think that we should have mandatory closures. I think that that's gonna have to be a big discussion within the board and the teachers and the parents to decide what's best for our kids, and not just like a governmental mandate that we close.
Thank you.
I kind of have to agree with Jade and Tony. I personally, I do not agree with it. I think that you would have to just, once, if we did come back around again, that you would have to make those decisions. I think the parents should make those decisions for their kids and not the schools make those decisions. I think it's our rights to make sure that we do what we want to do for our kids and not be dictated into wearing masks or being forced to not homeschool, but to remote learning and things like that.
Thank you.
So, start over. Okay, so for me, I feel like that if you elect me, I am there to help with the schools. I'm not there to parent and make personal decisions for your children. And so I think that's the parent's decision. And I think that we can partner with parents, and if overwhelmingly, if there's a concern, we'll listen to parents. But ultimately, I'm not gonna take somebody else's right away because one parent or whatever feels that they need to be doing something. I can't make somebody else do something. So I don't think that we should be doing that. I don't think the government should be doing that. Surry County offers an online program. If you were concerned and you didn't want your kid to go, there was an online option for you. And so that's what I think. We make an option for people, but no, we don't make people mask and do things. I don't think that's our role. I don't think that's what we should be doing.
As a board member, I didn't have to deal with that. I did watch it, or we didn't have to deal, but we did see some of the ramifications from it with the funding and so forth. But I never got vaccinated, and I felt like it was freedom of choice. Fortunately, I wasn't in a position where I worked and had to make a work decision. That really upset me that natural immunity was ignored totally, wasn't even mentioned. I think our school system and decision we made, the schools was boxed in with a mandate by the state. They did set a threshold, which I understand if the coach had one team member on his basketball team that couldn't play because he didn't have a mask, the whole game had to be canceled. So I understood that part. Clark Goins did vote no, and I would have stood with Clark in that position, that situation.
Okay, actually, that was, the next question is, I'm sorry, next question. Okay, according to North Carolina student attendance data, kindergarten enrollment in Surry County Public Schools is down 33% over the last 20 years. Parents are making the consolidation decision for school boards. Should we keep the same overhead and infrastructure from the 1990s given such a prolonged reduction in attendance? Can we read it again?
Yeah, consolidation of school boards, reduction in kindergarten, consolidation of school boards.
So let me read the whole thing again.
Sounds like two.
According to North Carolina student attendance data, kindergarten enrollment in Surry County Public Schools is down 33% over the last 20 years. Parents are making the consolidation decision for school boards. Should we keep the same overhead and infrastructure from the 1990s, given such a prolonged reduction in attendance?
So now I think I can see the question.
Okay.
So public school enrollment has declined. Birth rates have declined. Other options, private schools and homeschooling have all increased. So we have competition as public schools. We have to make public schools so great that people want to come to them. As long as enrollments are down, we have to consider consolidation. We have to be fiscally responsible. We need to give the kids the best option that they have. And consolidating and having an art teacher all day, every day, and a school nurse all day, every day is a great thing. If we have to expand, you may go back to the half days. But we have to be able to adapt, to monitor the data, always assess the impact on safety, talk to our staff, talk to our parents, and then decrease if we need to, expand as we need to, but we need to stay up to date on the data and assess it for safety. I know it's long.
Can you
It's a long-
repeat the
it's a
question
long
one more
question.
time?
So, according to North Carolina student attendance data, kindergarten enrollment in Surry County Public Schools is down 33% over the last 20 years. Parents are making the consolidation decision for school boards. Should we, and this is the question, should we keep the same overhead and infrastructure from the 1990s, given such a prolonged reduction in attendance?
Again, that's part of joining the school board so that we can see the data from that infrastructure. And with the decrease in enrollment as well as funding, that makes a big difference that we get from the state. There's not a lot we can do about that. But as far as consolidation, sometimes that is beneficial. I think getting in the classroom, talking to the teachers, and then using that data that we have, then we can make better choices when it comes to those kind of infrastructure changes moving forward. And that's what I want to be a part of.
I think some of the data that you would, on the reduction, you would have to look at your class size, the class size, and if you're able to combine those kindergarten classes, the biggest thing would be is as long as you're not overwhelming the teacher with increasing the class size. But I think that, once, if elected to the board, I think getting that data and seeing what they're actually doing in that real life scenario would probably be more easier to answer this question than based on, those numbers right off the top of my head.
Thank you.
So that leads into why I said I was running in the first place. And we need to start focusing on capturing those students in kindergarten, because this is a lot harder to get somebody to enter into the public school system once they've chosen not to. And we need to get better about messaging and know what all the competition is doing, because like I saw a curriculum the other day that laid out, this is exactly what they'll read in kindergarten, this is exactly what they'll read in 12th grade. Do we have that? Like, does a kindergarten mom get handed what they're gonna be doing in 10th grade, the whole process? And so we need to get better about messaging to ensure that we can keep enrollments as high as we can. But if they continue to go down, I mean, they mentioned the 90s, most of those buildings, I think, are a lot older than the 90s. And so we need to start looking at how can we educate? If the building is costing us too much and we can't pay teachers and the people in the classroom actually educating, then we do need to consider what we have to do. And so those are decisions that obviously I would need a lot more information on to be able to do that I don't necessarily have, but that's something that you just kind of cross that bridge when you get to it.
That's one thing that we're in process right now, making considerations for as a board with the Meadowview Gentry consolidation. It's not only, and there's the word and term we use a lot is right sizing, and that's the key. You're looking at the target down the road, but you're trying to also right size the structures, the facilities to meet that target down the road. With this, we had another variable, which was the condition and the age and the infrastructure one middle school, which was 50 years old or better. So it was a combination of that. All these things are complex, but as Mr. Bledsoe, TJ mentioned, that the process is important. Getting people involved early, the community involved early, is a big component of getting not only information, but settling things in the community.
Thank you.
Declining birth rates. Young working couples are leaving this county to go work somewhere else. That's got to change up there. The question is do we leave the infrastructure the way that it is? The answer, short, is no. Here's why. Surry County Schools has zero ability to raise a penny. We get our money from the commissioners, from the state, from the federal government. Until they invest more, we can't invest more. It would be nice to have a brand new classroom with 5 students in it and a teacher for every 10. It would be nice to have that. It's just not feasible. The fact of it is we can't. What's going to happen? You know, the question was asked earlier in the meeting about consolidating the high schools. What's going to happen when we have to? I know people don't want to talk about it, but the thing of it is as a community, we are going to have to get together and face some of these hard decisions and talk about some of these things because we are declining population. Why? I don't know. There's reasons.
The next question is actually going to go to Mr. Whitaker. This is for you and you alone.
Thanks.
How will you avoid the perception of nepotism and conflict of interest as an incumbent school board candidate when your son is an employee of Surry County Public Schools and is running for commissioner?
That is a good question. And I didn't think the decision lightly about a scenario where I'm making decisions that may affect a family member that's in the district. You can ask other board members that serve of my willingness to recuse myself and not be, have any influence on the decision that would affect them personally. There's means that we can do that. There's means that I can purposely say that I can look myself in the mirror and say, I have not made any decisions that would have benefited a family member.
Okay. Next question is going to go to Jade Kiger. Okay, what do you envision as the school system's role in reducing repeat drug abuse, not only in school-age children, but in our young adult population? Okay, let me read the whole thing again. What do you envision as the school system's role in reducing repeat drug abuse, not only in school-age children, but in our young adult population?
So repeat drug abuse, and like they said, you can't arrest the drugs out of people or drug use, but you can try to rehabilitate, resources, awareness. We need to work directly with law enforcement as well as drug rehab centers that are local to us and even distantly. We need more in our county. But like we said, dealing with law enforcement and then getting in with our kids prior to use, make them aware. A lot of these kids are seeing drugs within their homes, unfortunately. So it's, we don't want to mention things that might upset small children that have never been around drugs. But at the same time, if we are not, we have to be accountable, not only as a school board, but as families, talk to families, talk to parents, and then within the school systems that we have to make them aware of these scary substances that they might come into contact with so that they're not using. And then when they do, that we offer them resources to rehabilitate so that they no longer use. Just, okay.
Right. Yeah, everybody gets to answer this question. Yeah, everybody's answering this question.
Go ahead.
Okay, you weren't paying attention.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it was,
Yeah, sorry about that. So, what do you envision as the school system's role in reducing repeat drug abuse, not only in school-age children, but also in the young adult population?
So in the school age, it's just educating them, the good, the bad, The good would be to, be aware of what will hurt them, and like Jay said, there's some really bad things out there that some of the smaller kids are not even aware of. The schools, they can help with, I know we have like the SROs, but, the DARE programs and just with the pandemic and just with all the drugs and stuff that just in Surry County that a little bit that I'm aware of, they need all the help that they can get with education of, how can I get my mom or my dad help, so that they're not bringing it into the house. And then the older adults, it's just having these, rehabs and.
Thank you.
So I feel like the best way to help with repeat drug use is to try to prevent drug use in the first place. So as far as that goes with our education system, if you have a purpose in your life, that helps with it, and a lot of those AA meetings and things like that. And so I would lean toward, with that, teaching our young kids that their life is valuable and they have a purpose, and try to prevent as much as we can with as much education as we can. But on the repeat side, with the younger kids that are using or doing things like that, that can't just be us in the schools. We have to have some communication channels with the county and with the sheriff's department and with the hospital and people that can help, and anybody that can come to their side, with people that run AA and things like that. All the resources in the county have to come together for that child, because we at the school system are there to educate, but we can't be all things, and we can use what we have to fix it.
And one thing in our school system that we do combat that is our DARE system program. All our elementary schools in 5th grade, they go through an extensive DARE program where they're taught to make that decision now about alcohol, drugs. We have judges that come to those graduations, and we put a lot of time and effort into that program. I've been to 26 DARE graduations, so they're special. The other part of that is we do have grants that do provide funding for counselors that would help our students in those situations that are affected by drugs and families. I'm a guardian ad litem, and I've seen that I've had 3 cases, and all 3 cases were the very same drugs for the effect of them being a foster child.
DARE program, 5th grade, they're not using them. It's good to get them started young. What about the 8th grade? What about by the time they get to the 7th grade, they're starting to actually have to face it? When do we help them? Now, there's one of the sheriff's candidates. I asked him tonight, please, let's do something for them. There's some great programs here in town. Breaking Chains is one of them. That tells them that they've got hope. We give them a little bit of hope, and we tell them that you're not going to die here. You're going to be all right. You're going to make it. I think there's some vision for shutting it down on the highways and what they're going to do here in the county to slow some of this down. But do you realize that by the time a child's 5 years old, the parent has already told them whether or not they agree with it or not, about what they watch on television, about what they permit, about what they think is okay. If I stand in front of my children and I tell them, look, I don't think that smoking that's going to be too bad, by then it's already established in that kid's heart that they can do that for the rest of their life. We got to change.
I think Surry County Schools has a great opportunity right now to prevent drug use in the beginning. We plant the seed young, just like you said, teach them that their health is important, that they are important, that their body and taking care of it is important. They need age-appropriate education that continues to build on that. 5th grade DARE program, Mr. Whitaker was there with me as my last child graduated earlier this fall. And it was a great experience, full of jujitsu and everything. But they remember those things, they're involved and they're engaged in it. And now where the great benefit is partnering with the sheriff's department Having SROs in our schools is a tremendous resource. We need to equip them with the education that they can feed to our kids. They're making friends with our kids. Our kids are trusting the law enforcement, and that's a great thing. They encourage them, and they can remind them the risks and the dangers of drugs and what the consequences can be through that relationship. And then equip our teachers to evaluate and identify concerns early and provide the resources and connections to help them get treatment before it becomes an addiction.
Okay, do we have, yeah. Okay, we're going to go to, I think, Mr. McBride. And this is for everybody. How do you feel about too much phone time in schools?
Too much phone time?
Okay, yeah, just that's the question. How do you feel about too much phone time in schools?
I know, just speaking from my daughters, her phone goes in a case, as soon as she gets to school, she doesn't get it till the end of the day. I think that's the right thing for them to do. If it's an emergency, she can go to her teacher and say, hey, I need to go to the office and ask for, use the phone, or she gets the phone when she gets ready to leave for the day. To me, I think that's the best option. I know if I have my phone with me most of the time, I'll probably end up staying on it too much. I try not to, I know a kid, they'll stay on it all the time because I have to stay, tell her to stay, to get off hers. But I think the option of them putting it where they do is the best option, and not having it with them in the classroom.
So I'll start that by saying, according to some recent news articles, the state has already put out that the school systems cannot allow phone time in the classrooms anymore for their students, and that has to be mandated by January, I think, but our school system has already put that in place in the school rules for starting this fall. So our schools are already working on that. My personal opinion is, not for screens all the time. I think that I can barely focus if my phone is in my hand and I'm using it and listening to somebody. I surely think that a 12 or 13-year-old is not going to be able to learn anything if they're looking at their phone. So I'm not a very screen person as far as children. Now, when the kids get older, they have to use technology and they have to learn how to do that in the high school and the older. And so as long as it's being used as a tool and it's not just their personal phone out while people are trying to teach them, then, that's obviously different.
Thank you.
Can you turn it right,
That's okay.
right-handed?
We've had those discussions in board meeting. I remember one particularly that we discussed it, and every school was not did it the same way, but we did restrict. Schools are restricting phone use while class is going on. There's, I guess, pluses and minuses for even having having a phone in school. But a lot of times, I think we as adults have to set examples with how we use our phones before our kids. And I know we was able to hold off till our kids were 16. I don't guess that can be done anymore in this day and time. But I do feel that it's not been a big problem in our school system. We've gotten some videos maybe that went sideways a time or two, but okay.
Thank you.
They ain't got better use for a phone in school. Yeah, I understand parents who want them to have them in case they need to contact them, in case something bad happens, but this may surprise people. I went to kindergarten and then 1 through 12, and I never did have a phone. And guess what, I made it. And I think they will too. We need to go back to letting our teachers be teachers. and letting them teach the kids. We are too separated. Our whole society is separated. We've got employers separated from employees. We've got parents separated from children. We've got husbands separated from wives. Heck, I have sat and watched people text across the table from each other. We got to reassess how we're doing this. Short answer is, no, we don't need them in school. We've got some really smart, educated teachers that have been through school and they know what to tell our kids. We just need to get out of the way and get the stuff out of the way and let them do it.
Too much phone time at school, too much at home, too much in the car, AirPods or earpods, they're all a distraction. A phone is a great tool. Again, it's like AI. You can learn great things. As adults, we need to set boundaries and teach them how to use them responsibly. We need to put the phones away while they're in class and teach our children to be fully present and engaged and involved in their learning. We don't need to introduce distractions. And so limiting phone use during classroom time is a great thing. And it helps them learn how to manage that privilege. Not right, it's privilege. And they need to learn how to manage it responsibly.
I agree, phones should not be allowed in school. It's linked to mental health issues as well as distraction. I think there would be maybe a time and place where they're within the classroom, homeroom classroom, so that it's accessible. Should they can of course go to the office, but I have texted my child while they were at school because that's our way of communication with our family members now. So they may have a time during the day where they have like 30 seconds to a minute to check their phone to see if there's anything urgent in there. They are people. We don't want to have Marxism. We can't just make all the rules for them, but I think they have respect for the students as well, that here your phone is available. If you need it, let me know, but not that it's readily available throughout the day.
Thank you. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay, thank you candidates. Appreciate your time tonight. And one comment, the most difficult thing about moderating an event like this is I want to answer questions too. So, but all the candidates, appreciate your time tonight. And one other comment, the whole AI discussion, go home, use your favorite AI tool and ask it, graph the number of deaths in the U.S. from COVID-19 during the pandemic by age. And it's interesting. We had AI 5 years ago, 6 years ago during the pandemic. The things we could have learned about what we were being told would have been revealed. So AI is a great tool if you use it correctly. So, anyhow, thank you for having me.